Someone hurts you, you sit with it for days. And then you finally gather the courage to tell them how it felt. They look at you and they say the two words you've been waiting to hear, "I'm sorry." And somehow you walk away feeling worse than before you ever brought it up. Most people assume an apology is an apology, that the words themselves do the healing. They don't. Some apologies aren't repairs at all. They're a second injury, wearing the costume of the first one's cure. By the end of this video, you'll be able to spot the 5 apology types that quietly destroy trust instead of rebuilding it. And the one kind of apology, backed by decades of research, that actually puts a broken relationship back together. Here's what almost no one is taught. An apology is not a feeling. It's a structure. It has parts that either fit together or fall apart. And when the parts are wrong, your gut knows it long before your mind can explain why. You've felt it. That strange hollowness after someone says sorry and nothing inside you settles. You probably told yourself you were being difficult, ungrateful even. They apologized, so why were you still upset? You weren't being difficult. You were detecting a counterfeit. Psychologist Harriet Lerner spent decades studying this exact moment, and she put it plainly. The words "I'm sorry" can be one of the most healing phrases in any language, or one of the most manipulative. Same two words, completely opposite effect. And here is why this matters more than we admit. Researchers have found that a bad apology can damage a relationship more deeply than the original offense ever did. The first wound was usually a mistake, but a hollow apology feels like a choice. It quietly tells you that the person would rather protect themselves than protect you. So we're going to walk through 5 apologies that damage trust, each one more subtle and more common than the last. Then we'll end with the one that actually repairs it. Let's start with the apology that sounds humble but is quietly all about them. The first toxic apology is the one that apologizes for your reaction instead of their action. "I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you took it like that. I'm sorry you got so upset." Listen closely to where the sorry is pointing. It isn't aimed at what they did. It's aimed at how you responded. Harriet Lerner calls this the fake apology, and its signature move is quiet but devastating. It relocates the problem from their behavior into your emotions. Suddenly, you're no longer a person who was wronged. You're a person who overreacted. The offense vanishes, and your sensitivity becomes the crime. Picture how it actually sounds. You tell them the comment they made embarrassed you in front of your friends, and they answer, "Well, I'm sorry you can't take a joke." But notice what just happened in that single breath. The joke became fine, and you became the problem. So if an apology ever leaves you feeling like the real problem was that you noticed at all, that is not repair. That is blame wearing softer clothing. And in that moment, your discomfort is the most honest thing in the room. But an apology that blames your feelings is at least easy to catch once you know the shape. This next one is far harder because it starts out sounding exactly right. The second apology begins perfectly. And then one small word undoes every bit of it. "But, I'm sorry I snapped, but you were pushing me. I'm sorry I forgot, but I've had so much on my plate." Aaron Lazare, a psychiatrist who wrote an entire book on the anatomy of the apology, found that this one word functions like an eraser. Everything before it gets deleted by everything after it. But isn't an apology. It's a defense. It says, "Here's my reason, and my reason is bigger than your pain." A genuine apology and an excuse cannot live inside the same sentence. One of them always eats the other. So the next time you hear "I'm sorry," but just listen to the second half. That's the part they actually mean. The first half was only the anesthetic they gave you before the real message. Now, the third one is trickier still, because on the surface, it can look like the most heartfelt apology of them all. The third apology seems generous. It might even arrive with tears. "I'm sorry for everything. I'm just a mess. I'm sorry for all of it, okay?" It sounds like pure accountability. It is very nearly the opposite. Gary Chapman and Jennifer Thomas studied thousands of apologies, and they found that real responsibility requires one thing above all: specificity. You have to name the exact thing you did. Vagueness is an escape hatch. When someone apologizes for everything, they have quietly admitted to nothing. There is no behavior on the record, nothing named, nothing to actually change. And often the flood of sorrow does something clever. It makes you rush to comfort them, and the actual wound, the one that was yours, quietly slips out of the room while no one is looking. Real repair is precise. It can look you in the eye and name the specific thing it did. Everything is the word people reach for when they would rather feel bad than be clear. If you're the kind of person who thinks this carefully about the people you let close, who genuinely wants to understand the difference between someone who is sorry and someone who is just performing sorry, that already tells me something about you. It would honestly mean a lot if you hit subscribe. We break down the real psychology of trust, connection, and the quiet patterns that shape every relationship we have every single week. Now let's get back to it. The fourth apology arrives fast, and it leaves even faster. I already apologized. I said I was sorry. Can we please just move on? What more do you even want from me? This apology comes with a stopwatch attached. It treats your forgiveness as something you owe the very second the words leave their mouth. But relationship researcher John Gottman, who studied thousands of couples across more than 4 decades, found something crucial. Repair is not a single sentence. It's a process the other person actually has to feel land inside them. Gottman even has a name for the reflex hiding underneath this kind of apology. He calls it one of the 4 horsemen, the communication habits that slowly kill a relationship from the inside. Rushing someone past their hurt isn't strength. It's defensiveness in a hurry. So when someone demands your forgiveness on their schedule, the apology stops being a gift and it becomes a bill. You are no longer being invited to heal. You are being pressured to close the case so they can feel comfortable again as quickly as possible. Trust does not run on a timer, and anyone rushing you past your own hurt was never really trying to repair it. They were only trying to end the conversation. But there's one more apology that damages trust, and it's the most disguised of all because it can look exactly like someone falling apart from remorse. The 5th apology is the sneakiest one there is because it looks like the deepest guilt you've ever witnessed. I'm the worst. I'm a terrible person. Honestly, you should just leave me. And watch what happens in the seconds after. Suddenly, you're the one doing the reassuring. You're the one saying, no, it's okay. You're not that bad. Brené Brown draws a sharp and important line here between guilt and shame. Guilt says, I did something bad, and it looks outward toward repair. Shame says, I am bad, and it collapses inward, demanding rescue. When an apology drowns itself in self-hatred, it quietly hands you a second job. Manage their emotions. The spotlight swings off of what they actually did and lands squarely on how badly they now feel. The person who caused the harm somehow becomes the one being comforted. And your pain, once again, is asked to wait its turn. Real remorse makes room for your pain. It never asks your pain to step aside so that it can have the floor instead. So after 5 apologies that quietly break trust, what does the real one actually sound like? It's calmer than you would expect, and it has a shape you can learn to recognize anywhere. Researcher Roy Lewicki tested the pieces of an apology on over 700 people, and 2 parts mattered more than all the rest combined. A clear acknowledgement of responsibility and a concrete offer to make it right. Put simply, the apology that heals does 4 things. It names the specific thing that was done. It takes full ownership with no but attached. It shows that it truly understands the impact on you, and it commits to a change that you can actually see with your own eyes over time. No excuse, no stopwatch, no performance of suffering, just this. Here is exactly what I did, here is how I understand it hurt you, and here's what I am going to do differently from now on. Imagine how different that feels to receive. I was wrong to raise my voice at you last night. I can see it made you feel small in your own home, and that is the last thing you deserve. I'm going to catch myself before it ever gets to that point again. No defense, just a hand extended back towards you. That is the whole secret. A real apology was never about relieving the guilt of the person who caused the harm. It's about restoring the safety of the person who received it. One of those is about them. The other one, finally, is about you. So the next time someone tells you that they're sorry, don't listen to the word. Listen to the shape of it. Does it name what they did, or does it blame how you felt? Does it own the harm or defend the reason behind it? Does it make room for your pain, or does it quietly ask you to manage theirs instead? Because an apology was never meant to be a magic word that erases what happened. It's a small, deliberate act of repair. Proof that a person values the relationship more than they value being right. The people who can truly do that are rarer than you think. And now you can recognize them. Not by how sorry they sound in the moment, but by how completely they take responsibility and how gently they hand you back your trust. If this finally gave you language for something you felt for years, I made a video on the quiet signs that someone is genuinely emotionally safe to trust. It's right here, waiting whenever you're ready.